Hello, listeners. My name is CC Thornley, and I play the banjo.
And I'm Emily Wolfe, and I play the violin.
And you're listening to Season 2, Episode 4 of the Wolfe and Thorn podcast, the podcast where we play and talk about Tasmanian folk tunes. Now, we did say last week, we did make special mention that we were going to bring you a special on the Cape Barren tunes this week, but I did say don't hold me to my promise because it might fall apart. Well, that did slightly fall apart. We've had to postpone that till a week later. Well, we've got some great interviews of some Cape Barren folks lined up to talk about their experiences with the tunes and to play some tunes with us, but they couldn't make it. They had to cancel. So they're going to be scheduled for later on, maybe next week. But we had an adventure, didn't we?
We did. We played last night for a dance. So we played our little hearts out till nearly midnight.
I love playing for dances. It was because it really does challenge your stamina. We started, 7?
Yep.
And finished at, got home at 1.
Yep, it was a long night.
And so we thought we'd do a little bit of a dance special and go over last night and talk about the dance from the point of view of the musicians and what our end of involvement and design in a dance looks like. Because there's lots of people that go into creating a community folk dance here in Tasmania. The enthusiasts come from all angles. We have a chap who did the lights, and that made an incredible atmosphere. We've got people that do bake cakes and all that sort of stuff, and we had somebody there to do the door and make sure we're all COVID safe and all that kind of stuff, and everyone kind of puts in. So we thought, being the Wolfe and Thorn podcast, the best angle, the most informed angle we can take is what it's like as musicians playing at one of these dances. So what we're going to do is we're going to play you some of the tunes that we played last night. We did record the dance, but the recording is not going to be that great.
That's okay.
For various reasons, and one of those reasons is the sound quality is not that great, but we'll have little snippets there and that sort of thing. But the other thing I want to point out is last night, the particular dance we played last night was the Steampunk ball.
Everyone looked amazing. They dressed up in their steampunk gear.
Yeah, and they actually had steam coming out of their hats. It was incredible.
It's pretty amazing.
And so as part of this Steampunk ball that happens every year, there's some great stuff that goes along. Of course, there's a dance, but there's also a tea dueling. Have you ever heard of tea dueling?
Well, I hadn't until we'd done the ball.
Right.
And I was like, all right, this is tea dueling.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you pour a cup of tea. There's two people that face off, and they pour a cup of tea, and you take a biscuit, and you dunk the biscuit for a specified amount of time, then you pull the biscuit out and look your opponent dead in the eye. And you've got to eat the whole biscuit in one go before it collapses, like a...
Yes.
Yeah, and you got to stuff it all in your gob. But if it collapses on your way to your gob, you lose to your opponent.
Did you do it last night?
I won.
You won.
I won. I retired undefeated champion.
Oh, I missed that.
Never played before.
Oh,
yeah.
Fantastic.
I got a cup of tea out of it.
Amazing.
So activities like that, and where was I going with that? Yeah, activities like that, dances. Oh, that's right. Yeah, so because it was a steampunk ball, David Wanless, who is the dance caller, specifically requested that we had a band called the Black Swans of Trespass, which is a song. It's a band that Emily and I have spoken about on the podcast quite a bit, and it's a band that we're heavily involved in. And that band is, how would you describe that band?
Pretty good band. Not being biased or anything. Yep, I was prompted to say that. Just those words came up. No, it's a fun band. You play the electric banjo in that
it's
band.
Is it a folk band?
No, I can't. You can't pinpoint us in a certain genre because
it's not a trad band.
Because we do whatever we want.
So my brief with the Black Swans of Trespass, because I'm the band leader of the band, I play lead banjo.
That's what he thinks. You let him think that.
So the idea is to just play modern music on these instruments. So we play an electric banjo. So the electric banjo has a very different feel. It's an electric banjo to acoustic banjo, we're not talking about a banjo with a pickup here. We're talking about a solid-bodied, proper electric banjo. And the difference is about as wide as the difference between an electric guitar and an acoustic guitar. That's how much sound dimension changes with those instruments. So if you are interested in how I approach the electric banjo, you can always check out the Black Swans of Trespass on Facebook. We don't often do trad dances. Normally we play bass, banjo, fiddle and drums. But last night we played bass, banjo and 2 fiddles. We didn't have drums. Why did we make that decision, Emily?
Well, that was partly a little bit of my decision because whenever I'm doing dances, as we've said before, it's a long night and stamina is, it's a long time to play. So I asked the guys in the band to go, can we have another fiddle? Because it does, being the only melody player at a dance where it's quite not only heavily on the chords, but the melody, the dancers are sort of listening out for when we're back at the tune that indicates to them when they're at the beginning of the dance. It gets very draining to be the only one doing that. And if I make a mistake or miss something, at least there's someone as a backup to help. So that, and also you can get to do harmonies and make it a bit more fun to play because when we play a dance, like after David's taught a dance, you'll be playing those tunes for about 10 minutes straight without stopping. So in terms of stamina and creativity, it's good to have someone else to bounce off.
Yeah, that's true. We normally when we play the songs, and just give you an example of them on the podcast, we play maybe 2 times through, but at a dance you'll play them through many, many times.
Yes.
I find it quite transcendental sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I just focus in on that rhythm and I focus in on that cycle, and it becomes quite I don't want to say religious experience, but it becomes like a transcendental experience. You sort of get out of your head a bit.
Well, that's definitely how I learnt all the Tasmanian tunes by memory, because when I joined Heritage, I did a lot of bush dances and we do them over and over and over again. And it was a great way for my stamina to play for that long amount of time as well as to memorise all the tunes. So that was a really great way to develop that, and then you can try out harmonies on the fly or different rhythms because you sort of get in the zone a bit when it's cooking away.
Hearing you guys hit some pieces between you, that was really cool last night.
Yeah.
Why did we ditch the drums?
I don't know whether we ditched the drums. I mean,
well, we didn't have them.
We didn't have the drums.
Yeah, we somewhere along the line we made a conscious decision not to involve our drummer.
I'm not quite sure what was the reason behind it. Was he not free?
Most likely, Jack Lester is our drummer, and he works for the Australian Army, and he's constantly on a vigil. So he's got to keep us all safe. So he's very busy. But I think the reason why the reason why we ditched the drums, I think, was more of an acoustic sort of situation. The stage, and one of the reasons why we'll play these songs eventually. Just bear with us, folks. We'll get around to the tunes, but we're not going to play you a lot of the music recording tonight because the sound in that environment is very it's got a lot of bad frequency in there. Yeah, we
played in a hall last night, which is where the dance there's only space big enough for halls, and it does get very boomy. And normally, here's the thing with dances, like there are other styles of dances, like there's contra dances, which we'll talk about later on, and certain styles of dances where you can use drums, like could be a bit more contemporary, but I guess we were more going for the more trad folk setup.
Even though we had electric banjo, which made it very different.
Yes, but normally I think with dances, you don't often need, if you have bass, that's sort of, and bass and a chord, that's enough.
By chord, she means this.
Chord instrument. That and bass, it's enough.
To carry
it. I mean, you can, I would like to, if we can get Jack next time when he's stopped defending our borders. It'd be great.
Does that job ever end? God bless Australia. No.
It'd be great to actually try it with drums because I'm half keen because if that would put off the dancers because, or will that enhance it a bit more.
Yes. Interesting. I'd like to find out too one day.
I'd like to find out.
A lot of work in it though.
Yes.
So Yeah, so that's why we didn't have the drums. So the thing about the steampunk ball is that it's based on this steampunk alternative universe thing, which I'm sure many people are familiar with. There's lots of different sort of something or other punks out there. There's steampunk, there's diesel punk, and a few other ones. But this is one that's based on sort of, imagine if they had high tech, if Victorian England or Victorian era, not just England because it's a global thing. If that era was high tech and they actually made it to the moon and all that sort of stuff. So of course they would have had Faraday's new patented electrical banjo device, and that's kind of the angle we take there. It's called coal powered, of course, and steam powered. Yeah. So in just a minute we'll play a little bit of David's instruction on one of these tunes, and a little bit of us kicking in. Then we'll fade it out and we'll play the tune. But what's the first tune from last night we're going to share?
This are a set of tunes, and it's for a dance called the chess dance. So last night they actually put a chessboard on the floor, like a carpet, mat, I guess I should say, on the dance floor, and they did this really cool dance called the chess dance. So it's a set of tunes that we're going to play it's specifically for this particular dance. And we're just going to give a little taste of that, how it sounded. Yeah,
so I got the feeling that this dance is, it's not incredibly complicated, but it is very detailed. And there's a particular set of music that goes with it that we have to get more or less right. And by jingoes, did I make some clangers last night?
It's all right. So did I.
But it's hard to read.
Pardon?
It's one that's hard to memorise, but it's also, because it's obviously not a tune that's in our immediate vernacular, but it's also a tune that, it's long and it's hard to read off the paper.
I reckon I've nearly tried to memorise it now.
Right.
But whenever we do dance, it's always about, do the bars line up to the dance with the tune? So that's when I go into that mode whenever we get to do a dance. I'm like, okay, what tunes we've used before is the right amount of bars, because it's all about lining it up with the dance. And I think over the years I've been doing dances, I've gotten very good at reading, like following the dance when Dave's teaching it now, and actually following, because I'm not only reading the music, I'm following where the dancers are in the dance and watching David, the dance caller, if we're fast enough, and he'll give me an instruction if we're not, and if it's last time through. It's a lot of things going on. From a musician point of view, to make sure that we're actually getting it right.
So we'll play you this tune, but before we do that, we'll just have a little bit of the events of last night. This is David giving some instruction, and then a little bit of the band, and then we'll play you the tune.
Except it's very crowded in the middle with the other pieces. I mean, you're right that the steps are easy, but it tends to be very crowded. All right, so that's what the rooks do. They go across, turn, go back, and if it's easier to walk forwards, that's fine, and then across the bass line doing the same thing. All right, that's the rooks. Go back, nobles, and bishops, which are third in from the edges. You go one step to a square, go diagonally on your same colour, go out towards the edge, and then bounce off the edge and go on the same colour over to the other bishop position and let the white bishop go in front. That's it. But it is quite quick. The bishop position is the quickest position. Yes? All right, so that's the bishop's roll and the rook's roll, so I think we're ready to do it. Okay, and if you feel like swapping to a different noble's position during the dance, that's fine if you're up to it. Obviously only if somebody's not in it, or you can negotiate it. All right, let's do it one more time. Thank you, band.
So that was the abridged version of the chess dance set that we played last night at the Steampunk Ball. I get the feeling with that dance, because David Wanless is such an expert dancer, and there's such a core crew of great expert dancers, that he wants to do these more complicated things. Because the thing about this dance, as you heard, folks, it sort of picked that we tried to get it to pick up in pace as it went along, to represent the drama of the closing of a chess game, and everybody plays a certain piece, and the pieces have the bishops go over there while the knights are going over there, and the pawns are running around. It's quite spectacular to watch.
It was good to watch, actually. We played that because they did the dance 3 times. So we played it it a few times last night. So we actually got to watch a little bit.
And we almost got it right once.
You nearly got it right.
I think me and Paul Sharp, who was the bass player last night, were just hanging on by the skin of our teeth for that whole tune. But
it's a tricky one because it goes really quickly, and we're meant to get faster with it. So that's a deliberate speed.
The form is not regular.
No, if you could only see our music, there's lots of red marks, scribbles, where repeats are, where aren't repeats. So that's probably why we get a little lost.
Go to line 1060. If 1060 has been played, go to line 15. Do not pass go.
It's a little bit like that sometimes with our music. It's a bit like scribble out, go there instead.
And then sometimes the scribbling's in different colours, because that was from the last dance. No, we're doing the green scribble. No, the red scribble.
Yes, sometimes can get very complicated, particularly if depending what dance the tunes have been used for. So, and you might have heard at the beginning, if you picked it up, we do like a little intro. So that's the other little thing that happens in dances with the musicians. Quite often you do a 4-bar intro, sometimes 8 bars, just depends of what's happening at the beginning of the dance. So quite often with the 4-bar or 8-bar, they'll bow to each other with partners and stuff like that. And also to feel the tempo, so they actually know when to start if they feel the beat. So that's really important. So if you're doing the intro, you have to be really clear, definite with the beat. Otherwise, the dancers don't know when to start.
So the next tune we're going to play you is one that we were scheduled to play last night. But sometimes people are having so much fun, the dances go for a little bit longer and you run out of time, so they have to drop tunes. So this is a tune,
Ireland Quadrille, number 3. We're going to play number 3. There's 5 quadrilles, but we're only going to do one of them for you.
These quadrilles were written in the 19th century by a guy called C.H. Marriott, who was a very popular pop musician of the day, and he would write a lot of arrangements and tunes, and they were played all over the colonial world, like Australia, America, Canada, all over. Wherever the English had gone to make complete asses of themselves, Marriott was usually there in their music. And you'll hear throughout these 5 tunes, we're only going to play number 3, but throughout these tunes, you can hear snippets of Irish folk songs. There was a couple in there that I immediately recognised. There was Minstrel Boy, you know that one? And there's another one called The Girl I Left Behind Me is in one of them there. Yes. I'm not sure what's in the one we're going to play, but it's one you chose that you liked.
Yes, I like this one. Just like it. It's a nice jig.
Fair enough. Okay.
I just like it.
That's it, folks. That's all we got.
That's all I got. Yeah. And we might play through that part twice.
All right.
You feel up to it? So now I'm going to do an 8-bar intro. So with these quadrilles, we had all these amazing marks all over it. So we have to play it a certain amount of times, and then it's the end of the dance. So on our music, we have times 4 because that amount of times is the end of the dance. But we're only going to do half of it.
Right.
Are you ready?
What are we doing?
We're going to do this one.
All right, okay. So I come in on that repeat.
You can come in here if you want.
Great. All right.
You can see that.
Yeah, well, there's a big mic stand right there.
Just do the thing.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry we didn't play them last night.
Yeah, no, they're good tunes. They're rollicking. Well, you can't go wrong with Irish music, but that was Marriott's arrangement of the Irish Quadrille there, number 3, which we didn't play last night. But a song that we did play last night is the couple of songs. They're not necessarily strictly Tasmanian heritage tunes. They're not like unique to us, but they're ones that we do play a lot and ones that we do play in that folk context and have for a while. So they are part of the heritage, but they're not necessarily ours. And those songs are?
These 2 tunes. So, yes, the next 2 tunes are the Cuckoo's Nest, Growling Old Man and Cackling Old Woman. And we mentioned before contra dance. So that's another form of dance. It's kind of square dance, isn't it? It's sort of...
Yeah, when we say bush dance, it's funny because most people that aren't involved in dances, they go, oh, you mean like line dancing? It's like, no,
it's not like that
it's
at
not
all.
like line dancing. So then I say to them, usually, well, you know line dancing. Like, oh, yeah. It's nothing like that. But contra dancing is... what is the difference between what we were doing and contra dancing last night? It's not a lot, really.
No, there's not particular. Well, there's certain. So this is what I understand with contra dancing. It's originated from America, and it's always 32 bars. That's it. Like
Right.
it's the same. It's that. Yep, same amount of bars for the tunes. So and with contra dance, it can be very contemporary. It can be extremely contemporary. So it can be quite rocky, some of the bands who play for contra, because as long as it's the same amount of bars, it's very flexible with how you play that, what instruments lineup you use for it.
I have heard sax and keys and electric guitar in a contraband.
Yep.
And it goes quite well. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, well, if it lines up to the amount of bars, like you could sort of do anything. You have a lot of flexibility with it, and you can have a lot of fun. So these 2 tunes are from a contra book that I got, and I really like these tunes. And of course, with the dance last night, we needed a certain amount of bars, so we're like, all right, we can use these tunes we use for contra, and we played them as a contra style. So what I mean by that is that instead of jumping back in between tunes, which can happen for other dances that we play. For particular dances that we're playing for, with contra, you stay on the one tune for ages and then you change, but you don't go back to that tune. That's sort of how it works with contra.
We obviously won't be staying on one tune for ages whilst we play that, but
No.
here is a snippet from last night of us staying on one tune for ages. Well, obviously, we're not going to play the one tune for ages. We're just going to play a snippet of us playing a small part of that age.
Everyone, this is a really good one to do. So just jump on the end of the line. It's really, really easy. And the more people who do it, the better. The Grand March was the traditional way of opening balls in the old days, in the 19th century, and well into the 20th.
Because that was before people were coming in. So
All right. All right, you just follow us. Thank you.
This is the Cuckoo's Nest, followed by Growling Old Man and Cackling Old Woman. That was Growling Old Man and Cackling Old Woman. Before that, the D major tune was The Cuckoo's Nest. Not necessarily Tasmanian tunes, but ones enjoyed by Tasmanians.
They're such fun tunes to play.
They are too, you know,
They're
and
really
I love going back into that A minor key because you can really get down to the bottom of your fretboard
Yes.
and really dig in, you know, that sort of stuff.
And you can play them forever and ever and not really get sick of playing them, which it kind of works for contra because you want to have, if you're going to do a contra dance or whenever you're doing a dance, you want good tunes that you enjoy to play.
Keeps you engaged.
Because you're going to play them again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
But I've got them memorised now, so it's good now.
Yeah, right, yeah. And I've almost got them memorised. I've got them on the reptilian instinct brain, so when I hear those chord progressions go, I know exactly where to go, but I haven't quite got the melody down yet, but I don't need to. That's your job.
That is my job.
I just wonder if I worry that if something happens to you, they're going to say, Carl, it's up to you. I'm like, oh, God, I only know the melody to 2 of these tunes.
That's okay. I'll be around. It's fine.
Cool. Look, before we get the next song, I just wanted to ask you, let's say someone wants to do a dance and what happens? They call you and what process happens after that?
Well, I asked them, have they done a dance before?
That happens to us quite a lot, doesn't it? Actually, we get a lot of people saying we'd like to do a bush dance and they call us thinking we do the lot. We're the musicians. We're like the lowest rank on the ladder.
Oh, no, not the lowest. Come
We're the
on.
most prestigious rank on the ladder. How dare you have called us to ask us?
No, it's fine. Yeah, but I have had people ring me in the past, yes, asking me if I can do a bush dance. I was like, I can do the music, sure, but I can't call a dance.
You really need a caller.
That always throws at people because they're like, oh, yeah, like you, who's going to teach the dancers? It's like, yes, I can't do that.
Yeah, people got a funny idea about music sometimes. But anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot to it because you need to have a caller and then that dance caller needs to work out what dances they'll use, which then lets us know how many bars they need. So with David, because we worked with him for so many years now, he's so good with his organised, with like he keeps what we've used in the past. So once he's decided on the dances, he'll go, this is what we've used in the past, but feel free to change. Normally I try to change them just to keep them fresh. And then we have to practice with him with the dances to make sure that the bars line up with the dance. And so if it doesn't,
there'll be a rehearsal with the band, and then there'll be another rehearsal with David, the dance caller, or whoever the dance caller is. Yeah.
So it's quite a lot involved. So it's not just a matter of doing some hoedown with some hay bales and your
mosh session.
And there's quite detailed with putting it together, and also in the band who's leading it. So quite often that falls on me because I am playing the melody, so I'm keeping track on how many times through a tune we've done it, or if we need to change, then I'm communicating with the rest of the band to go, okay, we're changing now, or it's the end now, it's last time through, because I've communicated with David who's doing the dance.
Yeah.
giving me instructions.
And if you're in the crew, if you're not the captain of the band, you're just in the crew, you've always got your eye on that captain because they're communicating with the dance caller. So you don't get your cues from the dance caller, you got to get it off the captain. And so it's quite, I really enjoy it. It really brings a new perspective on folk music, especially given that, because David's quite well steeped in the traditions of these dances, which are quite old. And it really brings into perspective or certain features in modern music that we play, how they've evolved and where they've come from. I love it.
Yeah, I think it's great. And I think over the years that I've been doing the dances, I've gotten better at it and sort of appreciated it more, and I think got a lot more comfortable, because it can be really quite nerve-wracking if you haven't done a dance, like playing in a dance before. Can be quite nerve-wracking, because if you make a mistake, like if the band makes a mistake, and which happened to us last night.
But
that was only because we misheard which dance David was calling, but we all
mistake.
But
there were others.
But if we all made a mistake, then the dance just simply falls apart.
Yeah, and that's funny to watch.
Oh, which it did, yeah. And that happened in another tune that we had tried to work out in rehearsal, but it didn't quite work in the dance. But that's okay, because we've been doing it for so long, and we just sort of didn't worry. It didn't
crush our egos.
No, it didn't worry. But if that happened when I was, just starting out, it can be can be quite nerve-wracking, because you've got like these people wanting to dance, and the band can't get there. There's 100 people looking at you going, what are you doing? But it's interesting, because even though there is that sense that you've got to get it right, in reality playing a dance is actually quite forgiving, because they're not after super chops, they're after solid rhythm. They are. They're after solid rhythm, a consistent beat. So obviously a band that doesn't go faster, like doesn't speed up then slow down, you do have to keep a consistent tempo. But they want that consistent speed and a clear melody. So therefore they can hear, that's the first section, that's the second section. We're back at the beginning of the tune now, really distinct, clear signposts, so they know they're in the right part of the dance. Really?
So this next song we're going to play for you, this is not a Tasmanian song. I think this song originates perhaps in Ireland, but became extremely popular in America and was adopted by numerous American genres like bluegrass and old-timey and that sort of stuff. And so if you go to any sort of bluegrass or old-timey session, this song will be played. But we played it last night, and there was a dance. And why did we play? What was the connection with this song? Why did David choose this tune?
I think it was a dance called Soldier's Joy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so David wanted the song Soldier's Joy to go with the dance.
Yeah. So summer, yeah.
The Soldier's Joy is the song, folks, in case you haven't picked that up.
It was a dance designed for the tune, I'm pretty sure.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's how it works.
So, like we said, this is not necessarily a Tasmanian heritage tune, but it's one that is played in Tasmania as well, in America and Canada and all over the world. Here's a little snippet of David explaining the dance and us getting into the dance from last night.
And holding left hand, slide to the right. Slide 2, 3, lift, and then holding right hand, slide to the left, and then 2-hand turn. Ladies chain. Ladies pass right hand, turn left hand round, and do the same back again. And forward and back again. Into stamp, 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 back to stamp, 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 and change places, making arches. People going anti-clockwise make the arch. Right, that's enough walking through. That's the Soldier's Joy. Keep going. You don't turn around. Once you've gone through, you keep moving. All right, Soldier's Joy. Thank you, band. If some more people want to join in, jump in. I can pretend to be a couple. Here we go. Forward, 2, stamp, 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 back, 2, stamp, stamp, stamp. Change your opposites. With your partner.
This is the Soldier's Joy. That was the Soldier's Joy Tasmanian style.
Tasmanian style.
Yeah. So I never learnt that song as a bluegrass or an old-timey standard, so I just sort of picked it
I
up.
sort of learned it along the way, like I just by
Well, you
ear
wouldn't-
at sessions. I never
Yeah.
really properly learnt the dots.
Yeah.
Like I knew the first part, and then the second part, I was like, oh yeah, that's how it goes. And just sort of one of those tunes that you know that it's called Soul. You know, it's called Soldier's Joy, but
I think that's how that tune gets taught without the dots most of the time. It's a very standard fiddle tune. Yeah.
it's a great tune to play. Actually, it's really fun, really easy too. So
There you go, kids. Get on it.
Get on it. Yeah, I do. I end up teaching that tune quite often with my students because it's such a really fun, easy little tune to play. I think that's when I probably learned it.
Really?
I found it in one of my books. I'm like, oh, there's Soldier's Joy.
That's what I'm supposed to play?
That's what it's. That's how it's supposed to go. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, we've got one more tune for you guys today,
Yes.
and this last tune is called Spanish Waltz. Jeez, I think I was up too late playing.
Oh man, I'm very exhausted today. Like I feel like my face feels like putty.
We're doing great. And this was for a dance called Hat and Glove. What's it?
Elimination?
Cotillion.
Cotillion. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool dance to watch because, as we said, it was a steampunk ball, and so everyone had their mainly top hats on. So you had to have a top hat.
Or any kind of hat. There was a woman there using a soy milk carton
Yes.
because you didn't have a hat.
So
And a rubber glove. You also need a glove.
Yeah, you need a glove. So when you're doing because it was a waltz, when you're
Waltzing
around,
When you're waltzing your Matilda. When you're humping your Bluey all over Australia.
when you're spinning her around, you had to get the glove in someone else's hat,
Yeah.
and therefore they're eliminated out from the game. So the whole point is to not get a glove in your hat.
So it's not a structured dance. It's just
No.
a free-form waltz.
Yep.
A mosh waltz, you might call it.
mosh waltz.
It's not a mosh waltz.
Yes, and last night I mucked up. I
you
forgot.
did. You
I
did.
forgot a thing, and Beck, the other fiddle player, just followed me, going, "All right," because it didn't.
We
matter.
followed you too.
You did, because it didn't matter because it was a free form waltz. If it was a matter of certain bars, I would have freaked out, which
Yeah.
has happened in previous years when I've done dances where one of us have not maybe not with you, but with
Yeah.
other bands I've done with, and we've missed it, and then we've had to make up for it.
Pick it up somewhere along the line.
Like repeat something else. It's a bit of a nightmare when that happens because you just got to keep going. You can't stop. You've got to keep going.
Yeah.
But thankfully for this, when I missed that bit, it didn't really matter.
Yeah.
But you guys all looked at me. I was like, well, sorry.
I looked at you and got, I've done it again, Emily. And you looked at me. I thought, no, wait.
No, it was me.
It was you.
I don't know why. I just went. So that's the thing. Like you get
Yeah.
a little bit.
There's a lot going on.
Any moment of like what's the word? Like you don't
You
worry.
take your eyes off them for a second.
You take your eyes off, you get complacent, and
Yeah.
then I think that's what happened with me. I sort of kind of went off, and I was like, oh I missed that.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have to stress.
there was a lot going on. There's a lot of noise and movement from the crowd.
Yeah.
As the captain of the band, you're sitting there, you're in control of that whole ship, so you're steering the ship whilst watching the dancers, whilst looking at the lead guy.
I think I was getting put off by something else, and then I just totally missed it. That's the thing. You can't take your eyes off it.
So the tune we played for this cotillion was the Spanish Waltz, and I believe this is a Tasmanian tune from Spain.
Yes.
No, this was a tune that was picked up by Eileen McCoy
I think so,
and collected by. So it's one of Eileen McCoy's tunes. This would have been played all around the dances up north and down here too. As you know, the story, we've spoken about Eileen McCoy quite a bit. So this is the Spanish Waltz by Eileen McCoy.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun watching that one, watching those guys, because they get quite feisty. I mean, the other thing about dances is that there's a core group. I mean, it attracts a lot of people. Dances are very popular in Tassie, and attracts a lot of people, but there's a core group of just really hardcore guys that are really into it. And my God, they're athletic, and gee, they swing each other around like crazy.
They get right into it. Somebody fell over.
Oh, yeah, there was a huge stack last night. That was
But they got up again.
That was Kathy from the Tasmanian Fiddle Ensemble.
Yeah, she did.
And she just bounced straight back up.
Hope you're okay.
Yeah, hope you're okay.
We just kept on going.
The guy who swung her, he just walked off. Was like, yeah, you're right. Off he goes.
Oh, look, they get very athletic. It's very impressive, though.
As my grandma used to say, if you're looking for a sort, because sort was their word for picking up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And you know how there's a park here in, I'll tell you my grandma's favourite joke. There was a park here in Tasmania called Franklin Park. Is it or the one?
Square.
Franklin Square, the one near the courthouse on the corner of, Yes. And that used to be a cemetery. And a lot of the gravestones are still
Well, they also
there.
used to hang people there as well.
Yeah. And it was very convenient.
Where the fountain is.
It was very convenient. And my nan used to say, the joke back in 1925 was that you can go for a wander down at the promenade down at the Franklin Square and dig up a sort.
Oh, no.
Which was a necrophiliac joke that my grandmother used to tell me all the time.
That explains a lot about you.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
such a nice way to finish this podcast.
a little bit of Tassie, knowledge there for you folks. So thank you very much for listening. We'll be back next week with some form of podcast.
Yes. Some form of podcast with words and tunes. For your delight.
Working on the Cape Barren special, so just stay tuned for that. For the Cape Barren tunes are a selection of tunes that we play, and we're going to get some people from up Cape Barren to tell us all about them, hopefully at some point in the future. So that'll be the next week or the following week or maybe the week after that or possibly...
when it happens.
Yeah.
We're just not going to promise you anything and it'll just happen and then you'll be surprised.
You'll be surprised. Thank you very much. Well, that concludes our very special dance special. My name is CC Thornley and I've been playing the banjo.
I've been Emily Wolfe and I've been playing the fiddle.
Hooroo!
See ya.